Hey everybody, welcome to So with Joe. Today we're picking up where we left off last time, working on my blanket project and spreading the good world news. Today we are talking about helping you live longer and be healthier during that longer life. Now, getting into the project here, working on our usual blanket, made up of all different types of materials I've had for a long time. T-shirts are probably some of the newer material that I've used so far. All the jeans and everything. Well, most of the jeans have been about 20 or so years old. So a lot of really old patch material that I've had around that just needed a home, needed a project, and some things that I've abandoned that I don't wear anymore. And using just for all the people that actually sew out there, using a very strong red thread. I've been tracking my thread usage on this bobbin. And in case you've been keeping track, there's still lots left, but we have used and gone through quite a lot. Used and gone through. Not talking right today. That's okay. That is okay, because we are just going to sew with Joe anyway. Now, apparently, the secret to living a little longer and a little healthier is by just straight up consuming fewer calories, just eating less. And there was a study done where people were either told to eat normally and were subjected to a number of tests, or they were instructed to, what they did is they got a baseline of what their normal eating habits were, and then they were instructed to reduce their caloric intake by 14%. So 14%. So I think if you think about your daily eating habits, I think you could probably picture cutting 14% of your food out of your diet without too much discomfort, I would think. Unless you're already at the stage where you are, malnourished and not doing well because you're not eating well. But for most healthy, normal diet, like average humans, I would say you could probably pretty easily stand to cut 14% of your diet out and still be okay. And then over the course of 2 years, they were subjected to a number of tests, baseline tests, of course, and then a number of follow-up tests. Now, one of the main things that they noticed was an improvement in the gland called the thymus gland, and that exists just above the heart, and it produces T cells. T cells are essential for health and healing and immune system, basically. So as we get older, this gland doesn't function as well, and you end up being more susceptible to illness. Now, the people who consumed 14% fewer calories per day than their normal baseline actually showed an improvement in the function of their thymus gland, which is rarely heard of in the medical community. So the thymus is just one of those things that it's generally accepted that it just degenerates and doesn't work as well. It fills up with fat and gets congested and doesn't have as much room to produce your T cells. And a 14% reduction in diet resulted in a better functioning thymus gland. So that's massively good news and can help you live longer and healthier lives. I should say help people live longer and healthier lives. Help you live a longer and healthier life. Got a little bit of a knot. Have a little bit of a knot happening here. Sometimes it's difficult to separate the threads. I'll just take a needle. That works a whole lot better than your fingers. And give them each a little tuggy tug. And tighten up that blanket stitch. And then we can carry on. And sorry, I seem a little congested today, so if I sound a little stuffy, my apologies. So 14% reduction in your calories also helps with your metabolism. Apparently helps you metabolize your calories more efficiently, which really makes sense because you're not consuming in excess anymore. So your body has to figure out how to best use what it has. And the biggest thing that I found interesting was it helped to reduce inflammation. So inflammation is one of those things that accounts for pretty much, well, accounts for a goodly percentage of the number of diseases out there, or at least contributes to or makes worse. So if you can ease your inflammation just by eating a little bit less every day, then why not? It'll improve your life, it'll save you money, it'll keep you feeling less guilty because you're not eating as much. And I'm sure there's a few things a day that you could cut out of your diet without really noticing too much. Especially if you cut out some of the higher calorie foods, as long as you're not cutting out essential items, like cut out some fats but don't cut out essential fats. You know, refined sugars is one of the biggest things, one of the easiest ways to reduce calories, and one of the worst things for you. So less refined sugar, fewer products that have refined sugar in them is the way to go. And I find the most effective way to not eat stuff like that is to just not have it around. My wife and I have a really great system, and it's basically I hide all the sugar, and she tells me when she needs sugar, and so that it's not just readily available to grab and grab and grab, and it's still available, just not, you know, every time you walk by the kitchen table, you don't take a candy from the bowl. you know, that sort of thing. And that works quite well. Another bit of good news that we've got, and that is that Iceland has ended all issuance of whaling permits. Now, I love this bit of news because it sounds massive. This sounds like huge. Iceland no longer whaling. It's a bit of a misconception. Hey, sorry about that, my battery just died. Interesting thing about this story out of Iceland, where they've stopped issuing whaling permits, is that it sounds like this would be saving, you know, at least thousands of whales per year. No, the stat comes in a little bit less impressive, a little more underwhelming than we might be thinking. Because in 2021, is this the right stat? Yeah, in 2021, only one whale was taken off Iceland with one of their hunting permits. So they have a limit of 400 per license, and only one was taken. Now this is due to a major misconception that the people of Iceland actually eat whale, and they don't. People who came to visit Iceland made a massive assumption that they would eat whale, and would come, and the tourists would say, well, where do I try whale meat? I want to try whale meat. So they started hunting whales to feed to the tourists. And so something that came out of a misconception was never terribly popular in the first place. Apparently only a few percent of the population actually eat whale meat, and eat it like more than once a year. And the most interesting one is that 84% of the population of Iceland have never tried whale meat. I think it's just a great example of how misunderstandings and assumptions and just how people can change the world by assuming and misunderstanding something. You know, you can have an entire industry built around feeding whale meat to tourists because they think that that's what is done. And you know, I'm sure there's a lot of examples out there for people who know more about the world than I do. So please, if you have something, if you know of a story like this, please leave it in the comments. I would love to hear it. And yeah, I'm gonna leave us at that for now, and we will get back to this next episode. Thanks so much for joining me. I do appreciate the time we get to spend together. And till next time, keep on chilling. What was the other? Yeah. Oh, it's been a day. Don't forget your cookie. Maybe 14% less of it. Peace.